Hello everyone and welcome to episode 20 of the Dragon Radar podcast. We are your hosts, Heeroh and Ajoten. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing very well. Got to have a discussion on the big 20. How about yourself?
I'm also good. We're no longer a teenager. We're in our 20s and yeah, I'm ready to go. So let's get started with Roshi's rant.
Let's go.
This is Roshi's Rant.
This is Roshi's Rant, the first section of the podcast where we deep dive into a topic regarding Dragon Ball. And this week we're talking about Frieza and if it's possible for him to become a main villain again and what he would need to do to become a main villain. So, Frieza was the original main. Well, I guess technically Piccolo, but obviously he was the main. And since then, he's been pushed down the pecking order.
To me, he's kind of just starting to become like Team Rocket. Like, it's just lasting off again. And I think it's like... I think the Broly film kind of summed it up quite a lot. He kind of became a bit of a joke as a bad guy in the Broly film, where he literally they just said, "Here you go, Frieza," and Broly battered him for how long was it? An hour in film time because they failed the first fusion. Or something like that. So half an hour, an hour until they got it right. And that's literally all that happened to Frieza. He was a punching bag throughout the film, and then he went away.
Which is mental when you think about the Tournament of Power and the fact Frieza survived until the end. And then Broly's just like, nothing.
And and you have to think, like, he lost on Namek, and he came back as Mecha Frieza, and he immediately got sliced and diced by Trunks.
Mm-hmm.
And he came back in Resurrection F, and he immediately got kicked about by Goku, and he made the silly mistake that Goku made, but then Vegeta just absolutely ripped him to shreds.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the Deus Ex Machina blowing up the planet, but really, he didn't really do anything for the most part.
Nope.
He lost.
Again.
Yep, again. And then we brought him back for the Tournament of Power, where he served as an anti-hero.
Yeah.
He was on our side. He was the good guy.
He was the Batman of the team.
He wasn't a bad guy. Yeah, he wasn't a bad guy. He was there, and he was very entertaining. Mm-hmm. We talked about him a lot in the last podcast when we were comparing him against Cell. But a lot of what we were saying is that Frieza was there in an entertainment aspect. Yeah, that's why we like Frieza there, because he's very entertaining. But in terms of him actually being, when he came back as a bad guy again, he literally just, again, was a punching bag for Broly.
Yeah.
When you think about it, since Namek, he's done nothing.
Yeah, he is a failure, pretty much.
And that's kind of sad when you think about it.
Yeah, he's a well-liked failure, let's put it that way, because I think for the most part, he is the majority's favourite villain. And it's a shame. He has never had a win. His biggest win was killing Krillin. Is that something to be so proud of? But yeah, apart from that, he gets all these good moments. He is a strong fighter. He is, in my opinion, he's Goku's eternal rival. Some people see Goku and Vegeta being the ongoing rivals, but I don't see them that way, to be honest. I see Frieza and Goku being eternal rivals because Frieza just keeps coming back. Even when you think he's gone for good and he's dead and he's written off the show, he still comes back. And
I see him as his arch nemesis. That's how I see Frieza.
Yeah, exactly. This is the war that's not going to end, and they can't kill him. Which is a shame because he's so popular. I think he has the Master Roshi appeal, which is strange to say, but he's too well liked of a character to kill off. And they should have done it with Roshi in the Tournament of Power, and they didn't. And now they can't because they're not going to be that moment. They've even tried having Frieza dead, and he's so popular that they brought him back. And he died again, but brought him back. And now you can't kill him now. 2's already too many times. You can't kill him a third time and then expect people to believe he'll stay gone. Because why would anyone believe that anymore?
I think with the Roshi thing is you would have said that Roshi's too popular, that you can't kill him. And they somehow managed to write this scene that
would have been the perfect ending.
Perfect. That nobody would have seen. That they somehow managed to create that would have been, that should have been, but they didn't go with it.
Yeah.
And I think now that they've bypassed that, they can't do it with Roshi. And I think they've done something similar with Frieza, but on a grander scale, that rather than a scene, it's a series of events. And they've had so many series of events with Frieza now that he's locked in and you just can't get rid of him. But I think they just have to change step with him. And I think that they just can't have him coming back again and again as a bad guy, because he is going to become a joke. And I think people will start to pick up on it. I mean, we joke about what we're saying about him being beat again and again, but I mean, obviously he has done a lot of things. Like he was very impactful in the Tournament of Power. Like obviously he was instrumental in helping them win. Him and Goku were the ones that basically got rid of Jiren. At the end, they eliminated themselves to get him out. Without Frieza there, they wouldn't have won.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he then said, I'm going to be a bad guy again. But it's like, are you really going to be a bad guy? And then his first time coming back as a bad guy, he wants to be, 5 centimeters taller, was it? Or something like that?
Which is, it's a bit of a joke.
Yeah, it's like, he's literally becoming, like I said, Team Rocket blasting off again when he gets beaten. And it's, and you have to be so careful with such a popular character that you just don't. And it's like, I loved him as an anti-hero. And Dragon Ball's so famous for being able to create anti-heroes that I think I wouldn't be wholly against anti-heroes, but I think it would have to be very careful. Because it is Frieza and he's very manipulative and dark. And I think that they couldn't just say, Frieza's now one of the gang. I don't think they could do it that way. I think it would have to be introduced into not the super gang, but somewhere else, maybe with the gods or something like that, but somewhere else where it would maybe meet his needs.
Yeah, see, I agree with the whole in the Broly film he was made into a bit of a joke, but the glimmer of hope from that is that with all of the Dragon Ball Super movies that they've done, like Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, and the Broly film, well, not the Broly film yet, at least, but with the other two, when they did the anime version, they fleshed everything out a bit more, because obviously the film's only run for an hour and a half. They've got a lot to compact into that time frame. So with the episodes, they kind of beef it up a bit. I guess they follow the same structure pretty much for the most part, but they change a few details here and there, and they extend it to fit everything in nicer, I guess. Which helps, because especially with Battle of Gods, I guess, this was the first viewing of Whis and Beerus, and they're completely new characters. You know, you've got a very short time frame to make us care about these two new characters. And I think the anime version did it better, where they extended things a little bit more. They had longer conversations. You were able to understand everything a bit better. But it still followed the same flow as the film. Everything still happened pretty much the same. They just extended things, which is nice. And I feel like for the Broly film, since the main part of it's called Broly. You know, it's about Broly and his story. It's not about Frieza. Frieza's a side character in this film. And this is the first time you see him after the Tournament of Power. And since he's a side character, we don't see too much of him. And the bits we do see, he's not acting the way that Frieza did in the Tournament of Power, you know?
Yeah.
He's getting demolished by Broly. He's being a bit of a joke. He does have a few one-liners here and there, which are nice and typical of Frieza, but overall, it's not Frieza. You know, it's not the same Frieza. And I feel like if they do rehash the Broly film in anime form, they can go a bit more in depth of what Frieza's been getting up to since the Tournament of Power, how he's built up his army again, how Broly manages to get onto the ship and all that stuff. They can beef it up a bit more. And please change the wish of wanting the Dragon Balls to be 5 centimeters tall. You don't need to have that. Have some different wish. Change what he wants for the wish. You know, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need that. You know, and you know, he can still be beat by Broly throughout the film. That's fine. You know, we need to show that Broly is strong, and having him be Frieza, that's obviously a big statement to make. But don't have it, you know, go down exactly how it did with Golden Frieza, who was a last man standing in the Tournament of Power, not even putting up any sort of fight. Like, come on. I get it, but also, you know, he's supposed to be strong.
Yeah, because he did manage to hold his own a bit against Jiren, at least.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there are plenty of discussions online about Jiren versus Broly. So, I mean, he wouldn't just get absolutely stomped. I don't really believe that.
No.
And I mean, he did get absolutely stomped by Broly. Like, it was just an absolute wash. But, so I think there would be at least something. He'd get breathed, 100%. Like, Frieza would lose.
Yeah.
But at least he'd get a few hits in here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It didn't need to be as one-sided.
Yeah. Like, I think he literally just got slammed into a wall and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, he does kill Paragus, but I mean,
but Broly doesn't know that.
He was unarmed and not fighting or anything. He just went pew, dead.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Broly doesn't know that.
He doesn't.
No, I think he literally thinks it is just a stray beam.
Yeah.
Of death. No, I don't think that they're doing him justice anymore, and I think it is very sad for Frieza. I think it's just he has been on a downward slope since Namek.
Yeah.
And I think he'll never be as good as he was on Namek. I think he definitely was great in the Tournament of Power.
Yeah.
From an entertainment standpoint. From a power standpoint and a fighter standpoint, not particularly.
I mean, he
stood about a few people. He stood about a lot.
He did, but he did also eliminate like maybe 5 people, something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, being sneaky for the most part.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
But whatever works.
Yeah, but I mean, I would. That's not. I think again, he was useful in it. He was useful in the Tournament of Power, but I don't think he was as impactful as he was in Namek. He didn't have the gravitas as he did on Namek, and I think that he's definitely been. I wouldn't say they did as much justice to him as a comeback as, say, like you would look at the comeback of Roshi or something like that. Like. Yeah, like I know obviously Roshi didn't spend as much time there, but when Roshi came back and he had his moment, that was like the return of Roshi, and I will not forget that. The return of Frieza in the Tournament of Power, whilst impactful to me, and I will remember it, there aren't any specific moments of Frieza that I remember, other than maybe the elimination of Jiren, but that's not specifically just Frieza.
Yeah, the main thing that comes to my head when I think of Frieza and Tournament of Power is his time with Frost. And even then, it's like, is that really his biggest highlight? Like him showing Frost that he can be buff?
Yeah.
And then that's it, eliminating them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the
Right.
fight with Dispo and stuff like that. Like there are cool moments.
Yeah.
And there are sneaky Frieza moments, but there are not power moments. Yeah. And I think that's what I mean. Whereas, like, so when you've got your comeback moments, I think you had some good moments and you had some entertaining moments from Frieza when he came back, but there was nowhere near the impact you had back when he was on Namek. And I think that's the problem, that he has been on a downward spiral since his original iteration, and I think that is the problem that you have to be careful about bringing back a returning character that's as popular. Is if you don't write it properly, they become essentially a joke, and he has that. There is that threat for Frieza, that he's one of the most popular characters in Dragon Ball, and he could just be winding down. And I would hate if that happened to Frieza, because I love Frieza.
Yeah. So I've been thinking of how it would be possible to make him a main villain again. Like someone actually scary, someone who puts up a fight, someone who will be a challenge for the gang. And you need to assume a few things here because of the way that the anime ended, and because of the Broly film, and the timeline is a bit skewed. We don't know what's going to happen. If they bring back the Super Anime, how are they going to start it? Are they going to go straight into the Broly arc and follow the film like they did the previous two films and just make them canon straight away? Are they going to go down a different route first and then bring Broly in later? Who knows? So I'm assuming that if they do that anime way, they'll bring the Broly film in straight away. That'll be the next canon thing. And just redo the movie again. And for argument's sake, I'm going to say they don't change a thing about Frieza. Frieza acts exactly the way he did in the Broly film. You know, he still wants his wish of being 5 centimeters taller. He still gets completely dominated by Broly and then runs away into the distance. And that's the last we see of Frieza. And that's fine. I'm fine with that. Well, I'm not fine with that to happen. I would rather something happened. But if that is how they want to portray Frieza, then fair enough. Okay, fine. So that's the last we see of Frieza for a while. And we are supposed to forget about him while, you know, the rest of the story goes on as intended for a while. And then after, I don't know, if they want to do the Moro arc first or whatever, they can do all of that stuff. But whatever. In the future, after more stuff happens, we finally get around to seeing Frieza again. And we realise maybe it's been a few years at this point. Maybe they've done the entire time skip up until superhero film, where Trunks and Goten are a bit older and all of this stuff's happened. It could be that long. Who knows? That's still like, what, maybe only like 5-6 years into the future after the end of Broly, I guess, since everyone, well, the kids at least are still kids, and they're teenagers in the super film, so a couple of years at least, 5, 6, 7 years maybe. So let's say it's been that much of a time jump, and we're finally seeing Frieza again. And we realise that after the Broly fight, he realises that he's been embarrassed. He realises that, you know, he did train for a few months to get this new golden form, and it wasn't even close to being good enough to being beaten by another monkey. He can't believe it. He's realizing there's more Saiyans that he didn't kill, and he's annoyed that this new one, Broly, is insanely powerful. Like, more powerful than Goku and Vegeta on their own. And he's like, he can't believe it. He's getting bested by another Saiyan. Like, how unbelievable is this? Frieza's world is tearing apart. So, for these past 5, 6, 7 years, however long it's been, he actually trains full time. He's in the gym getting those gains. He's doing all the protein powder. He's getting buff. And he's been going all out. And this is the first time he's trained for a long, long period of time. You know, he did 3 months of training to get Golden Frieza. And that's the extent of his training ever. That's all he's ever done. All his previous forms, his 4 forms of Doom, you know, he never had to train for them. He could just change into them. That was his thing. for the Z Saga. He knew he had other forms, he could change it, and he didn't need to train for them. That was it. For Golden Frieza, yeah. For Golden Frieza, he actually had to train. So for this, he's trained for 6-7 years. And you see maybe like a training montage or something, the type of stuff he was going through. Maybe he was on his own, or maybe he was building up the Frieza Force and training with them. Who knows? Either way, he's been training, and we see this. And it cuts back to present day. And you see him with the Dragon Balls. He has the Dragon Balls. He's managed to acquire them somehow. We don't know yet, at least. Or maybe the Frieza Force managed to gather them again. Because they've done that plenty of times before somehow. So they've done it again. They've got the Dragon Balls. Frieza gets his wish. And he wishes to be 5 centimeters taller. He gets his wish. This happens, yeah? Because they've already made it canon that he wants that wish. So I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it. He gets the wish, right? So we see a taller Frieza. Maybe he goes all out and says, you know what? 5 centimeters isn't enough. I want 10 or something like that. Anyway, he looks different. He's taller, obviously. And we find out that in this time, because to make him a big bad, we need a mini bad. Yeah, he can't be the only one, because in every arc, there's a mini bad guy to get through first to get to the main big bad. That happens every single time. Whether it's just by having different forms or whether there's an actual person underneath. But we find out within these 6-7 years, he finds his long-lost brother. Oh my god. Cooler's involved now. We bring Cooler in.
Definitely needs 10 centimeters if he's going to be big Cooler.
Because Frieza is the baby brother of the two. And maybe this was the thing. Maybe this is how they could do it. Maybe he finds Cooler quite early, and then the two of them are training together. And that's how he gets it. And then he kind of gets a bit more jealous of the fact Cooler's taller than him. And that's why he makes the wish. He goes all out. He wants 10 centimeters instead of 5.
Make Cooler canon.
Yeah. So they bring Cooler in. And Cooler is the big bad of the arc. Where, you know, Goku and Vegeta and the gang find them again. Because maybe Frieza wants to come back to Earth to finally kill off the Saiyans once and for all. And we expect Frieza to be the mini bad and Cooler to be the big bad. But we see Cooler do all of the fighting. That's what we see. Because Frieza wants his thing, but he wants his brother to do it. And yeah, everyone is expected to know how good Frieza is. So we're thinking, okay, Cooler's the big bad, really. We know how powerful Frieza is, and the guys can obviously defeat him. So it is what it is. And Cooler's fighting, and he's dominating. He's doing great. Like, he's been training with Frieza as well for years, potentially. So they're both strong. Really, really, really strong. And maybe Broly's there as well. That would actually be a good addition if he's part of the gang at this point. Get revenge on all of the Saiyans all at once. And, yeah, everyone's struggling against Cooler. To the point where maybe Cooler kills one of the three. Let's say Broly, Vegeta, and Goku are all there together, and they're the three people trying to take out Cooler. Cooler manages to kill one of them. I'm expecting not Goku. So, Vegeta or Broly. Yeah, and I think the safe bet might be Vegeta, unfortunately. Yeah. So let's say Cooler kills Vegeta. We're left with Goku and Broly. And they're basically out of it. Both of them. Because Cooler is so strong. Vegeta gets cocky. Not Vegeta. Frieza gets cocky. Vegeta can't get cocky. He's dead at this point. So Frieza gets cocky. And he's taunting the Saiyans, saying, I didn't even need to be involved in this. And I'm finally getting my revenge after all of these years. After the years of training. And he turns to Cooler. And we see the two brothers next to each other. And Frieza's like, I've got it from here. Woof. Kills Cooler in one fatal blow. Don't know how he does it. Maybe he's got a new technique or something. Who knows? He's been trained for this long. But he kills Cooler in one shot. Easy. You know, it makes no effort of it. Cooler's dead. And everyone's like, what? Cooler's dead. And Cooler was the one who's putting in all the damage. And we see a fusion of Broly and Goku. And these are the ones that needed to defeat Frieza. I think that's how they could do it. Frieza's all-powerful. You think Cooler's the big bad. He's took out Vegeta, and everyone's already struggling. Now they need to struggle against Frieza, who is more powerful than Cooler. After all, they can't defeat him no matter what. They're trying everything. Maybe Frieza's learned a new form. He's taller. Maybe he's got a new form as well. But yeah, they can't defeat him. Broku.
Best name ever. Broku.
Broku. Yeah. And they need a fuse because that's worked so many times in the past. And with the Rage and the Ultra Instinct together, potentially that could be an interesting thing. Well, just having Broly and Goku, who are two completely different body types, fusing together, that could be interesting to see. Or maybe they don't even need to fuse. Maybe they just need to go all out. Master Ultra Instinct and full Rage Broly together. And that's the only thing that can stop Frieza. But we see an epic fight, as expected. And that's the only way they can take him out. Once and for all. He's finally dead forever. He doesn't come back. But he had this big blow-off match. You see how strong he actually manages to get. And yeah, I think that would be how you can get him as a main again. Bring in someone who seems so strong. Someone who makes sense to Frieza to be a kind of secondary bad guy, like Cooler. And have Frieza be the one to kill him.
I suppose you get to see the savage side of Frieza again as well.
Yeah, an absolute betrayal of killing his own family because he's jealous of the fact that Cooler took out the Prince of all Saiyans, who Frieza has tried so many times to kill and hasn't. And Cooler does get the job done, and when you expect Frieza to be happy about it, he's actually a bit jealous and annoyed, and he kills Cooler so that he can finish the job of the other Saiyans.
No, and to be honest, I wouldn't be mad about Cooler coming in. I'm not mad. I find Cooler quite relatively interesting as one of the non-canon bad guys.
Yeah.
He's definitely not one of the ones I hated.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I hated from the films.
Yeah, I don't mind Cooler. I think he's got some interesting forms. I'm not a fan of the Getty Star stuff, but his designs and stuff like that. It's like the other Broly's, the non-canon Broly's. Like, it can get silly, but the designs of him
look really good.
Yeah, it looks very good. So again, it's if you redesign him right, just like the new Broly, if you redesign him right, it can be done well. So there's no reason. But yes, especially the big form of Cooler. Like the cool face masks and stuff like that, like face covering and stuff like that. Looks great. I love that.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't be mad at that at all. It sounds very cool. I like that. But he would definitely have to go. Like after that, it would have to be done. That 100%. Would be it.
Yeah, because we couldn't have an arc where it's just the gang versus Frieza again, because that's been done already too many times. Twice, I guess, in Z and in Super. So we need a mini boss, and I think having Cooler there as this evil new villain, which Frieza is secretly stronger than, I think that would work.
Yeah,
because it makes sense. I mean,
there's not really anybody else. Like, I can't imagine anybody else Frieza would really tolerate.
Exactly.
There's a reason that Frieza would tolerate Cooler.
Yeah.
There's exposition that would allow him to do so.
Yeah. Because they're not going to find a new strong Frieza Force member. Let's face it.
No. Like, he had like the person he beat up, like, there was kind of justification behind it, I suppose. And then, like, he was tough because he got battered about. Like,
But this is like the third wave of Frieza Force at this point.
Yeah.
Try.
Like, but Cooler, like, he has justification to at least pretend to use him. Like, in the end, we would know that he was using him, but Frieza can use his manipulative ways to at least, like, basically use Cooler as basically a meathead.
Yeah.
As the muscle. Exactly. Because as we've seen from the larger versions of cooler if they just used the strength versions. He could literally just be the muscle.
Yeah.
If he follows in like King Cold's versions where he's just this big, strong, they don't have to use the smaller versions, like Metacooler, stuff like that. They can just use just the big versions from the films. They can do what they want because he's not canon.
Yeah. But yeah, like I know maybe killing Vegeta is a bit harsh, but at the same time they don't need to do that. The three of them could be there all together, or maybe Broly doesn't even need to be there. Maybe it could just be Goku and Vegeta. But I think Broly would make sense to be there since Broly did batter Frieza previously. So just having him around for the fight would make sense. And Frieza gets a bit of revenge by being able to beat him up a bit now. But even if they didn't kill one of them, they could all three of them could be pretty much down and out because of Cooler. And then Frieza's like, okay, let me get the finishing blow. And then he just kills them because he's ruthless, and that's who Frieza is. He doesn't actually care about anyone. And yeah, he just kills his brother just to show off that he is actually strong, and he's kind of tired of him now.
Yeah, they could. I mean, if you didn't want, I mean, you could just kill him because we've got Dragon Ball, so it doesn't matter. Or you could just do it where they were going to fuse into Gogeta, and Frieza saw it and just basically gets in the middle of them, batters one of them out the way, and starts beating on one of them, just saying, "Not that again. I'm not having any of that." And whilst they're doing it, say Goku grabs Broly and says, "You know what I'm about to do. You know what I wanted to do. I know you don't like it because, well, I used it on you, but you know it works. You're going to have to do it with me." And obviously, Broly could be hesitant because he's probably very afraid of Gogeta, which would make sense. And there could be a mini dynamic there, which would be quite interesting to address. But he could be genuinely terrified of Gogeta because he could like hear Vegeta and Goku talking about Gogeta.
Yeah.
And he could be like genuinely terrified of hearing them talk about him because he could be scared of Gogeta, which would be quite cool.
Yeah.
Just a mini bit of exposition to hear, like, or like they could talk about fusion earlier in the film. And if it's a film that they do, for instance, or earlier in the show, you could hear him over talk about Gogeta, and you could show that Broly's scared of Gogeta, which would be quite cool.
Yeah.
So there's loads of exposition that would allow you to look into this. So there's loads of options with this, but no, I actually think that'd be quite cool.
I can just picture in my head a 3-on-1 beam struggle. Imagine Rage Broly, Ultra Ego Vegeta, and UI Goku all doing their beams at the same time towards Frieza. I think that would be a cool image to see. So many colors.
So bright.
Yeah, I just think that would be a cool image. And the three of them taking out Frieza all at once. The three Saiyans finally standing up and defeating the guy who, you know, killed the rest of the Saiyans once and for all. He's finally gone for good. That could be a good image.
No, I'm mad at it. I like it. No, you should be a DBS writer, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open. If anyone's listening out there, you know, take me, hire me on. I'll take it.
Carry on with listening.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that would be a good way to get him as a villain again. And I think we can move on now. This has been a long segment. I realise I did go on for quite a bit there. So let's move on now to the Hall of Fame.
Let's go.
And now it is time for the Hall of Fame.
And now it's time for the Hall of Fame, where myself and Heeroh battle it out to see who is most worthy to enter this week's Hall of Fame. And last week, it was the best quote in Dragon Ball, where Heeroh chose "It's over 9,000," and myself chose "I am the Super Saiyan Son Goku." And do you have the results?
I do have the results, and it was a close one, a very close one. What I think maybe the second closest one we've had, but the winner, with only 58% of the vote, is "I am the Super Saiyan Son Goku." So you've ended my streak.
Finally.
My 6 winning streak is over.
It's over. Finally over.
And a new streak has begun. Will it last 6? Who knows? We shall see.
I hope it's a streak. It needs to be a streak.
I just take it back straight away and then go on for an even longer streak. But yeah, that was the result of last week. So what are we doing this week? What's the topic?
Yes. And this week's Hall of Fame is best new character introduced in Dragon Ball Super.
Mm-hmm. And since you won, for a change, you get to go first this time.
It's so important. It matters so much.
It is, especially in this topic. I feel like there's a few standouts who could have been picked. So having the first choice is a good advantage here.
I think it matters a lot in this one, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like I know who you're going to pick, but what is your choice anyway?
I think you're probably right. Although I will be honest, I was very torn on 2 characters. I was incredibly torn.
Well, I have 2.
Yeah.
We could have the same 2.
Yeah. So we'll discuss backups afterwards. But of course, my choice is the guide angel attendant of Universe 7.
Yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend. Well, I suppose not a man. The angel, the myth, the legend. Whis, of course.
Yeah. I think you've got a winner, but yeah, it was an obvious choice.
Yeah, it has to be. It's just his dry wit, the general way he carries himself. Since it's just a straight introduction of the character, he's just such a fantastic character. He carries the show, part of the show, whenever he's in it. And I just think he's just great. I just think whenever he's on screen, I'm always smiling.
Yeah.
And we've discussed him previously, and I just love him. Ian Sinclair, who is his voice actor, as again we've discussed, he is Whis. If you've ever watched him perform as Whis in the recording box, you just see him when he's standing there being Whis. He's a huge fan. He's been a huge Dragon Ball fan for a long, long time, and he just embraces it. And it shows in the character when he's performing. Yeah. Whis just trolling Beerus, trolling everyone all the time. It's just great. And he's just a breath of fresh air throughout Dragon Ball. And it's just the sort of thing that makes me truly enjoy Super. It's a big change from the previous different Dragon Balls, Z and normal Dragon Ball. And I think it's very refreshing. But I also like that he has a very serious side to him as well. Yeah, there's a very dangerous side to Whis that I love. Is that whilst he does have these silly sides and everything to him, there's a very dark side to Whis, and I love seeing that when it comes out, because he can be quite scary when he wants to be. Such as one of the times when you first meet him, and Piccolo basically grabs his arm in Battle of the Gods, and he basically just says, "Remove your arm," and he doesn't, and just when he just says, "I said remove it," and you feel it, and it's just like, don't mess with Whis. Yeah. You just know, and basically when he one shots Beerus as well,
just the meat of the gut.
Yeah, basically after Beerus eats the wasabi and starts destroying planets, and he literally just one-shots him, and it just goes. He demonstrates in that one maneuver how powerful the angels are, and I just love it. How he's just effortless in everything he does, and I just think that with a character like Whis, there's almost nothing more to say. I mean. And yeah, he's the absolute. He is one of the greatest characters. He is the greatest character introduced in Super. It's as simple as that, in my opinion. I just think he's just the king. He's the king of Super.
See, I mean, I agree, which is the hard part here, because this is a battle. This is for the illustrious Hall of Fame, you know, and I can't just give you an entry. That's the whole point in it, you know. I've got to stick up for my own vote. But I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah.
I love Whis as well. I think he's a great character.
Yeah.
Which makes this so difficult.
Yeah. But it's also its way of how he's training. He takes his training of Vegeta and Goku very seriously as well. Mm-hmm. How he is constantly looking for other gods of destruction and things like that. Like when he looks to train Vegeta, he basically blackmails him almost.
Yeah.
So there is an underlying tone to everything Whis does. Mm-hmm. So whilst he's got this silly relationship with people, you know, in the grand scheme of things, he doesn't really care about the people that he hangs with. Mm-hmm. Like, again, I don't think there's always some ulterior motive to Whis, and I think that despite all the silliness and everything to Whis, there are ulterior motives that make him a much deeper character.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what makes him great, is that there are so many sides to him. So I think it's just whilst he does have all these great personalities and everything like that, he is actually a very deep character that has a lot of sides to him.
Exactly.
And I think that's just why I love him, but also just because of what Ian Sinclair does for him as well. So he has to be my pick based on that.
Yeah, which makes my job difficult because I have to pick someone who I think has any sort of chance, because I knew you were going to pick Whis because he would have been my choice as well. But I need to pick someone, and I have someone. Obviously, I've thought about it, and since this is a battle, I need to put down Whis in some ways.
Because, how dare!
So there is some things. Yeah, it is. But there is some things that are about Whis, which I think might give me a chance in winning this. So before I say my pick, I need to say some things about Whis. And this is, I completely agree with you. He is an interesting novel of a character. But we have only really seen chapter 1 of that book. We haven't fully explored Whis yet. We still don't know everything about him. We don't know his fighting techniques. We don't know the true extent of his power, his actual relationship with the other angels, and his daddy-o. We don't know how interesting that is yet. And we need to see that. And I want to see that. I want to see him have a fight. I want to see what he can do. We see him training, but even then the training for Whis is just like he dodges. And that's it.
That's because he's in constant Ultra Instinct. He's not allowed to.
Exactly, but this is why I need to see him have an actual challenge and fight to know just how powerful he is. Like we assume his power. We know he is much more powerful than anyone else. But also, I want to see him have some sort of challenge. You know.
Yeah.
Which is why, as a character throughout Super, yes, he is a complete scene stealer. I completely agree with that. Every time he is on screen, he is the focus, whether he is intended to be or not. The things he says, the things he does, he's a great character. Of course he is. But also, he has never had a singular moment. A singular moment to shine. He has always been with other characters, or his moments are combined moments with other people. He hasn't had his own singular moment, I guess, so far. And that is because he is just an angel, and he isn't a main. I feel like you're about to say something. No?
Just rude.
It's kind of true, though. He isn't a main character, he's a side character. And, you know, even some of the other side characters have their main moments. You know, Roshi had his moment in the Tournament Park. Krillin's had plenty of moments throughout the 3 shows now. You know, Yamcha's had his moment in original Dragon Ball, I guess. Same with Tien. Piccolo's had plenty of good moments, singular moments as well. Whis hasn't so far had a singular moment, which is a downside to him so far. Even though he is a great character, he hasn't had that moment, which is just the truth. So my character choice for a new character who is great, potentially better than Whis, which I'm saying for the sake of the Hall of Fame, my choice is Goku Black.
Yep, I agree with that because that was my second choice.
Yeah. So I mean, we both had the same 2 picks, I guess, and I went for the other one.
Was yours?
I went for the leftover choice, but I have to have some sort of argument for this anyway, and I do believe he is an incredible character. I think he is the best villain of Dragon Ball Super. I think he's better than Jiren, better than Toppo, better than the Return of Frieza, I guess, better than Beerus as a villain. And yeah, I love that arc. The entire Goku Black arc is my favorite arc of Super.
Because I mean, I'll be honest, Beerus is a great character, but as a direct villain, it doesn't. I don't know if I'd class Beerus as a villain, but he's just a fight. He's just really a fight, and then he goes to sleep. It's he's not really a villain in my eyes. But yes, anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't see him as a villain either. He is a person who is. I kind of want to say that him and Whis are too attached to the gang at this point. Like, I get it. I love their characters. I love both their characters. Whis more than Beerus, but I love both of their characters. But also, Beerus is a god of destruction. Whis is an angel. They don't need to be involved with anyone, and they're sticking to this select few group of people, seemingly just ongoing now forever. And I understand in the sake of Goku and Vegeta because Whis is training them, but also it's like, how involved do they really need to be in the grand scheme of things? Do they really need to always be around going forward? I guess that's just how it is going to work. But Goku Black as a villain was a main character. He was the direct villain of the arc. He had a ton of singular standout moments, whether it was just him, whether it was him and Zamasu together, whether it was the two fused. But as a character, as a new character to the show, that was the best arc. Undeniably. The fight scenes that it has, all of the dialogue, the entire storyline itself of bringing back Future Trunks and having this be a villain from his timeline instead of him being a villain from the main timeline, I guess, was unique enough in and of itself. That's tough to say. But also, just having the villain being Goku, which is unique, we've mentioned this so many times before already, but Turles was like the test run of it, I guess, kind of.
The inspiration.
Yeah. And having, not just saying Turles, because Turles was a separate character, that he just looked exactly like Goku, but having Goku actually be it is Goku's body. Having him be the villain was such a unique take and a unique story to grasp onto, and that is why I loved it, I guess. Even though we've also talked in the past about potential other people instead of Goku being Goku Black, it could have been Goten or Gohan or maybe Vegeta or anyone else seeing Chi-Chi like that. But we've talked about all that before. But having it be Goku was still great anyway. And
because of how pure he is, basically.
Yeah. And seeing him acting evil, killing Chi-Chi, just off with her head or whatever. Well, you don't technically see it. It shows a shadow.
It's implied.
Yeah, it's implied. But yeah, killing Chi-Chi and just seeing Goku's face being the one to kill Chi-Chi. And I guess Goten, we don't see Goten die, but I'm assuming they kill Goten as well, because why would they just leave him there? So yeah, killing his own family, I guess, and then going on to destroy the world and try and take over, all that stuff. Incredible stuff. He gets a full arc to himself, and this is why I think he's got a chance against Whis, because even though Whis is there throughout all 3 arcs, he's a side character. He's never a main. Goku Black was a main.
I'll be honest, I juggled between the two. I didn't immediately just say when we brought up this topic to go with. I didn't just immediately go All right, it's Whis. That's it. Simple as that. If I win, I go first. Then great. I'll win with Whis. I actually juggled between the two because I couldn't decide because Goku Black is such a popular villain. He's a character that was introduced in Super. He's very popular. Whis is great, but a lot of people do love Goku Black.
Yeah.
For all the reasons you've said, he's just great. And I genuinely couldn't decide for a little while. In the end, it was probably my own bias that tipped it a lot. But excuse me. But in the end, yeah, I don't think either's a bad choice at all.
No, same here.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was close.
Yeah.
At all.
Because I guess on my villain hierarchy list of like top villains, you know, where does he rank? I think that, like, let's go through the sagas. In Dragon Ball Saga, the main villain is Piccolo, but we also have the Red Ribbon Army, I guess, as a singular villain overall. I think he's better than the Red Ribbon Army. And is he better than Piccolo? No. I think Piccolo's better than him as a villain. And,
as in Demon King?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just as Piccolo as a whole character, I think Piccolo as a full character is better than Goku Black as well. But even just as a villain, I think the Demon King Piccolo villain is better than Goku Black. For Z, is he better than Frieza? No. Is he... I think he might be on par with Cell. But he is better than Boo, definitely.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Cell was an excellent villain.
He was.
I very much like Cell. That's what he's special. I've said it a good few times. His introduction was brilliant.
Yeah.
But again, I've said Goku Black. So that's why I've talked about the introduction a good few times. So I would say yes, they're very much on par.
Yeah.
He's definitely better than Boo.
Yeah.
Definitely think better than Boo.
And then in Super, the main villains again was Frieza for a short while, which he is better than Frieza for that. Comparing the two arcs there, I would say he's better than Frieza.
He's better than Super Frieza, yeah.
Yeah. And then in the Tournament of Power, they're not even bad guys, but the main antagonists, I guess, are Jiren, Toppo, It, I guess, kind of. And I think Goku Black is better than all three of them as well. So, yeah. Controversial. Jiren is strong. He's obviously strong, but as a villain, I just don't like his character much. That's it. I don't like the Jiren character. I don't like the character. So that's why I think Goku Black's better.
Literally nothing to him. He's a grey man.
He's just Brock Lesnar. He's just angry.
Grey Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
I mean, my third choice, because, you know, I had Whis and Goku Black, but my third choice is going to be Hit, because I love Hit as a character. I think he's great. I think he's so interesting. I think his techniques are great. But he isn't in it long enough. I think he could be explored so much more, and I think it will be great when he is, similar to Whis. Once both of them characters have been explored much more, I think they'll both be incredible. Well, I mean, they both are already fan favorites, but I think even more so once we manage to find out even more about them, because Hit is so interesting. I want to know about his previous assassinations and how he became so powerful and his techniques and everything like that.
To me, it's like you said, it's like you don't know enough about Hit. To me, Hit is so popular because he's a badass, because he's really cool, and you can't really say for the most part he's more popular than that for any other reason, because you don't know enough about his backstory.
Yeah. Is he wearing a jacket, or is it part of his skin? Who knows?
Yeah.
We need to find out this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could say there's more in the manga, because again, we haven't explored that.
Yeah, I don't think they've revisited Hit yet. Yeah. Even going into the future.
No. I mean, maybe it's be something we'll be looking into in the future. But in terms of the anime, it's not something that that they've explored. So, in terms of his being a fan favorite from the anime, it's literally just because he's a badass, because they just don't look into his lore at all in the anime. So it's literally just a badass.
Yeah,
I couldn't have picked him for this in my eyes.
He was my third choice, but I knew that Goku Black and Whis were the main two, and it was always going to be between those. And I'm not mad at the fact that I'm going with Goku Black. I think he can put up a strong choice. He's definitely a strong pick. But it was always between those two. I think those two were the obvious choices.
Do you not want to pick Kale? Do you not want to go with Kale, Matt?
No, I do not.
Go on, go with Kale.
I do not want to go.
I get this streak, please.
I mean, I think, we've mentioned it before on previous podcasts when we've said, I think this will be a close one and blah, blah, blah. Genuinely, I don't know how this one's going to go. It's a coin toss.
Yeah, it's like we said with the last one. It was people who enjoy the meme side of it and the seriousness of it, and it kind of like people would lean towards the seriousness of it with the Son Goku, whereas this is who enjoys the bad guy and who enjoys the levity of Whis. Yeah. But again, Whis does have his serious moments and he does have depth to him.
Yeah.
But again, people love their villains, so it's liking them for very different reasons. So it's what you prefer.
Yeah, we've seen the full story of Goku Black. We know the entire thing. We haven't seen the full story of Whis yet, but the things we have seen could be interesting enough to push him as the better character. That's kind of the vote, I guess.
Yeah. However, there is also the manga readers will also have a lot because they'll know a lot more about Whis because they're still reading about Whis currently. So they're learning more and more as days go because he's still involved, whereas Goku Black ended a long time ago.
Yeah,
Whis has had time to develop. But in terms of the anime, just the anime watchers, theirs has ended again. So it just depends who sees the vote.
So it is going to be a tight one, and I don't know which way it's going to go. I feel like it could be Whis, but also, Goku Black has a very strong choice.
I wouldn't have been mad if I had picked Goku Black. He was my second choice for a reason, and I wouldn't have been mad. But I'm happier I got first vote.
Yeah. So those are the two picks. We have Whis, we have Goku Black, and only one of them can enter the Illustrious Hall of Fame. And the only way to do that is to vote. So in the description of the video, there is the links to the social medias down below. Go check them out, go vote in the polls, and we will find out next week who enters the Hall of Fame. But for now, let's move on to the hot take.
Let's go.
Hot take.
Okay, so this is the hot take, the final segment of the podcast where usually, and you know what's coming here, usually I go online and search through the forums and troll posts to find a controversial take on Dragon Ball. But this week I haven't done that because I was lazy and forgot. So Ajoten, you have done that this week. You have the topic at hand. I know nothing about it. We're going to discuss it though, so let's hear it. What are we talking about?
I love getting hot take because I just get to ruin your day and it's just so much fun.
Everyone you pick is just something that I don't like. So I'm ready for it.
This ties in perfectly with what we've just been talking about. So Heero's favorite villains and such. So who did we say you had was on par with Goku Black?
Cell.
Yeah. This person slightly disagrees with you.
Ooh.
Perfect Cell is boring and is the least interesting villain in the original run.
In the original... Well, it's not... I take offense to this straight away because it's not the original run, okay? Dragon Ball Z is the continuation of the original run of Dragon Ball. So already he's wrong.
What I believe they're saying is just across the... it's not Kai or anything like just... Literally just as Dragon Ball came through, so not Super or anything like that, just general as Dragon Ball came out and as Z came out.
I'm seeing this as he didn't watch Dragon Ball, he sees Z as the one true show, and yeah. I'm annoyed already.
I told you. I love it when I can get the hot take.
Let me.
And I love that you picked Goku Black and then you said a list, because you said the list and then you said you liked Perfect Cell, and I had this and I was just like, yes.
let me just dissect this for a minute. Yeah, he's saying Cell. Well, Perfect Cell is the most boring.
It's
Is that
boring
right?
and is the least interesting villain in the
Least
original run.
least interesting villain.
Yeah. So he's basically saying, is it the least? Let's just put it in context. Say the least in Z. Let's just go with Z.
Yeah, I'm taking it as Z because he said the original run, and that would include Dragon. Well, that is Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
So let me just dissect this. Yeah, I am. I've got so many thoughts running through my head right now that I don't know which one to start with. So yeah, I'm picking one, and I'm sliding this in here, and I'm gonna say people didn't like the Buu arc. That's generally seen as the worst of the main three arcs, I guess. If we account Frieza, Cell, Buu as the three arcs, I know this is the same arc as well, but it's like a kind of mini sub arc.
You could say the Android arc as well.
Yeah, exactly. But the three mains, where there's a main bad guy, at least Frieza, Cell, Buu. And for the most part, I think the consensus is that people don't like the Buu arc as much as the previous two.
Because of Buu.
Yeah. And also, people think that the Cell arc ending, would have been a good cutoff point for the show. Or at least a good part to make Gohan the new main. Goku's dead. Change the shift of the show completely and make a focus on Gohan. And yeah, they could have done that, but they didn't. They brought in Buu. And yeah, my thoughts are getting mixed up here, but let's look at the three villains. Yeah, we have Frieza, Cell, Buu. Frieza, great villain, well loved by everyone. I don't think there's a single person. If this is a future hot take of yours to say that people don't like Frieza, I'm like, what? Like, I'm not even talking about it. I'm just disagreeing and moving on.
I should have just made that up and just said that instead.
Yeah, but out of the three, Frieza was an incredible villain. He was a great start, I guess, to Z. They needed a big bad, and Frieza came in and he stole the show. He was an incredible villain, and it worked well. Then they continued on. They needed a new villain, because of course they do. That's how shows work. You need a new villain. They brought in Cell. And yes, I don't think Cell is on the level of Frieza. I think Frieza, they killed it straight out the gate. They made their first villain, Ozzy, and it just worked. It worked extremely well. And they made Cell, and I think Cell is great as well. He held his own. He had a unique design. He had a unique story to him. He has the cells of all of the top fighters, and that's how he is made. And the androids being like sub-villains as well, they worked well as well. The whole story, it just worked. Cell as a villain, not on par legendary status as Frieza, but he's still great. Buu sank that ship. They had to keep the momentum going. They brought in a second villain, and he did the job. Cell did the job. At the very least, he did the job. He was a good second villain. When Buu came in, the ball fell. They dropped the ball with Buu. They tried too much. They did different forms again, which they've done with the previous two villains. And there was nothing new. It just, with Cell at least, they tried something different. With Buu, it was like, well, by going with these, we can reabsorb people again. Okay, great. Well, Cell did that. We go, he's got different forms. Well, Cell and Frieza both had different forms. What's new about Buu? I mean, he's pink. That's
like
new.
they even tried like clever, like when they absorb, like when you final form Perfect Cell was very articulate and everything like that, and they tried to do that with when Buu absorbed later on, when she's absorbed like Gohan and everything like that. They tried to make him like smarter and stuff like that, and it just they basically say, okay, you've just tried to do pink perfect cell, and it just doesn't work. It's just not the same. You're just trying to rehash things, and it's just so half the time you just got pink loud weird noises in like good boo and kid boo, and no, it just doesn't work the same.
Yeah, because Kid Boo was the main big bad, I guess. You know, it was teased that it was Fat Boo. Yeah. It was teased that it was Fat Boo because he was the one that was releasing it. It was like, oh no, this is Boo. Okay, he's the new main villain. And it wasn't. It was like, oh, actually, he has a eviler side of him. And then they bring out Super Boo, and we think, okay, yeah, cool, he can talk now. He's big as well. He's got muscles. This is it. And I was like, no, not quite. Actually, we want to go one further. And then Kid Boo was born, arrived. He came in and he went back to just, I mean, it's in the name. He's a kid. He doesn't talk properly. He's just annoying. He's small. And it's just like, all right.
The thing is, he's got the exact same like mechanics and everything is Cell. Like you kill him and he just reforms. Like that's literally exactly what Cell did.
Yeah.
Like literally exactly what Cell did. You can't kill him because he does that.
As long as there is one cell, he can reform again, and that's the same with Boo.
Yeah, better Boo's like as long as there is one pink piece of candy floss left, then he can reform. It's like unless you do something powerful enough to stop that, and it's like it's a Kamehameha from Gohan. Well, it's a Spirit Bomb from Goku. It's like it's the same thing. So it's like you can't really say that Perfect Cell's boring when
Kid Boo is a thing.
When Boo is just a pink rehash that can't talk for 50% of it.
Yeah, like I'm struggling here. Like I'm genuinely struggling. Throughout the Boo arc, there is a lot of moments that I can think with all of the Boos, but for Kid Boo, I'm trying to think of a standout moment that him alone, like he alone had. Like specifically that just Kid Boo did, not Super Boo, not evil pink blob Boo, or Grey Boo. Even Grey Boo has his standout moment, but Kid Boo,
that evil Boo is it called?
Yeah, evil Boo. Yeah, but I can't think of one moment specifically that Kid Boo does that makes him more interesting than the other Boos. That makes him more interesting than Cell.
No, is it him not killing Thingy Satan, Mr. Satan?
Yeah,
I think that's literally it. Yeah, he doesn't kill Mr. Satan.
Yeah, he's strong because that's how villains work. You need to go on to the next big bad after the previous big bad. That's how shows work. So yes, he's strong.
Oh yeah, he falls asleep. He falls asleep to regain power from the. He gets bored and falls asleep.
Yeah, but
he flexes on people by getting bored and falling asleep. That's it.
He's saying that Perfect Cell is more interesting than Kid Boo. What?
No, he's saying Perfect Cell.
The other way around.
Boring.
More boring than Kid Boo.
Yeah, like to me, Cell's he's articulate. He's got this amazing ability to basically to flex on people and everything. And he was the original version of everything that Boo is.
Yeah.
Boo is copying everything that Cell did, basically. So to say that Cell's boring when Boo is the one copying it, that doesn't make sense. You can't like that. If you're saying Boo does it better, you need some form of justification behind that. Because he doesn't. He does because at least when Cell does it, he gets Zenkai out of it.
Yeah.
So he becomes back stronger because when Perfect Cell gets punched, becomes semi-perfect Cell again, so he blows himself up. Yeah. And then he comes back because he still has one singular cell. He then is able to be Perfect Cell again. Okay. So there's a series of events that happens that then makes him stronger, that then makes him a challenge for Gohan because he was getting battered by Gohan. So there's a series of events that makes it more interesting, that progresses the story. That's interesting. Now, Boo is oh, I'll absorb you, oh, I'll absorb you, I'll absorb you, I'll absorb you. Basically, he absorbs Gotenks because Gotenks wasn't paying attention. He absorbs Gohan because Gohan wasn't paying attention. He absorbs Vegito because I'm pretty sure was it because he wasn't paying attention, or he just he gets the jump on him. I'm pretty sure he gets all three of them by them not paying attention in some capacity, or he surprises them in some way.
Yeah,
if I remember rightly, or by some weird some weird dissect, and it's just like in some non-interesting way. It's so forgettable that I can't remember. Like there's no particularly interesting way in which they get absorbed.
Yeah, but
it's just boring.
Let's also compare the reasoning behind the villains. Like, why are they evil? For Frieza, he took out the Saiyan race, and there's leftovers, and he hears about the Dragon Balls. He wants to make a wish, and he realizes that there's still Saiyans remaining, so he wants to finish off the job. Pretty much, that's his aim. He's a space emperor. That's what he does. He takes over planets. He kills people. That's fine.
He's like Space Napoleon or whatever, isn't he? He's just taking over everything.
Yeah, he leads an army. He enslaved other races. He does all of that stuff. He's evil. We get it. For Cell, he is born, he is created as a combination of the greatest fighters, and his sole task is to take over the world and kill Goku in the process. And he is very articulate. He gives people time. He's not just I'm going to just destroy everything, let's do it, go. No, he gives people time. He sets up a tournament. He wants to face everyone one-on-one to see their power levels and see how strong they are and all of this stuff. And he wants to make people suffer. With Boo, he is born, Kid Boo specifically, he is just rage and it's just destroy. And that's kind of it. He doesn't have any motives or anything. It's just, let's just destroy things because I can.
At least good Boo has some depth.
Yeah.
Yeah, good Boo has some, weirdly, if you think about it, good Boo has depth. Like, he's got the dog and the house and all that.
Cured a blind kid.
Yeah, like when you think about it, there's something to good Boo.
Yeah.
He's just misguided. That's fine. He's just kind of got mindset of a child.
Yeah.
But once evil Boo and everything takes over, there's not really anything there. Like Cell as a directive as a result of Dr. Gero and everything like that. Just like the androids did. So that there's programming at least. There is some form of reasoning. But there's also arrogance and things like that. But basically, later iterations of Boo are just mean.
Yeah.
I don't get this take.
I don't get it.
I don't get how you can.
I wish the guy kind of explained more why he thinks that way. Why does he think Cell's so boring? Why does he in turn, just from that statement alone, he thinks that Boo and Frieza, at least, are more interesting. I want to know how he thinks Boo's more interesting than Cell.
I wonder why it's Perfect Cell specifically.
Yeah.
Because they haven't just said Cell, they've said Perfect Cell.
Perfect Cell is even more interesting.
Yeah, Perfect Cell has some of the best moments within the entire arc.
Yeah.
Like some of the beam battles and everything like that with Gohan is one of the most memorable moments in Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball. Yeah, that's why everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people think that would have been a perfect ending. Just have it end after Cell arc because it was such a good fight and end to the saga.
Yeah, like you could as good as things like the Namek saga was and everything like that. You can argue that the Gohan walking through the beam, the Kamehameha towards Cell, is arguably one of the most memorable moments in the entirety of Z. Yeah. Like,
Definitely.
obviously, turning Super Saiyan is the most memorable moment in Dragon Ball Z. I don't think anybody can really argue that. But after that, arguably, you can argue that things like that Gohan is the next. I mean, that I don't think that would be an unreasonable to put that forward as one of the choices.
Yeah. Even just comparing the big moments of the three arcs, like you have turning Super Saiyan and the fight between Frieza and Goku. In the Cell arc, you have that beam battle, like you just mentioned, and Gohan walking through it. In Buu, is there a big moment? Yes, the Spirit Bomb was supposed to be the big moment, but is it really that big of a moment? It did the job, but it's not as memorable as the other two, not even by a long shot.
No, the moments that I remember in the Buu arc have nothing to do with Buu. They are they are the final they are the final atonement and things like that. Yeah, they are not directly as a result of Buu. They are things like the Majin Vegeta stuff and all that, or Super Saiyan 3. I don't know. It's memorable, whether you like it or not, is redundant, but the actual moment is incredibly memorable. Yeah, these are the things that you remember. Like, that's the thing. You remember the Spirit Bomb. You don't remember Kid Buu.
Yeah.
Like that. This is the thing. There aren't interesting moments as a result of Buu compared to the other villains. And I just think there are so many moments as a result of Perfect Cell that have happened, such as Perfect Cell shooting Trunks through the. I know it causes you pain, but him shooting Trunks through the smoke and it just clearing and him being there, it's just such a good moment.
Yeah.
Him striking down Vegeta out of nothing. Like just coming out the smoke and just striking them down in just smugness, the beam battle, everything like that.
Yeah.
Just Goku doing the instant transmission Kamehameha on him and him just popping back up. Like his coming do it. His coming into the TV doing his announcement, his making the arena and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's like there's just so many moments for Perfect Cell that just it's just there's too many moments to say Perfect Cell is boring and not interesting. He's too articulate. He carries himself too well as a villain. He knows how to carry himself, and I just think Buu just does not have that gravitas.
I can't agree with this take in any way, shape, or form, and I just wish he expanded a bit more and said why he thinks that. I really, really wish there was more, because if I knew his points, then at least we have something to argue against. But he said it as an open statement, a blanket statement, and I just can't even find anything to like think, okay, well, maybe he's thinking about this, maybe he's thinking about that. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Like if they'd said maybe Perfect Cell is boring and not an interesting villain, like maybe there would be something to discuss or something, like because then it could be an opinion of, okay, maybe there's something you don't like about the bad guy, and then it was, but it's the fact that you've said there's the least interesting villain, because then you're putting them up against Buu, and it's like you can't put Perfect Cell like up against Buu. There's just no comparison against the two.
No.
You've just
So fully disagreeing. I don't think I've disagreed with the take more than I've disagreed this one.
And this is why I love finding the hot take. I know how to ruin the day.
It's taken
fun out of it.
Like my brain was a bit scrambled at the start of this. It's just I couldn't process properly how much I dislike this take. It's taken 20 episodes, but I was almost broken there for a little while. But we're both in agreement. This take is the worst
Hard
one yet.
trash.
I'm saying it is the worst one yet in 20 episodes. It is the worst take. And we both disagree. And I think that's a good place to wrap up this longer episode of the podcast. So, if you've all enjoyed it, I hope you have. If you've lasted this long, then fair play. But if you have enjoyed it anyway, please like it up, subscribe down below if you haven't already. Go check out our social medias for the Hall of Fame and vote in the polls to see who enters the Hall of Fame next episode. And other than that, we will see you all next time.
Yeah.